And today I'm going to show you how I made a card with the pretty textured floral stamp set bundle, which is currently available as a bundle from Stampin' Up. So you can still order it and get the discounted price and save your 10%. I'm going to wiggle things around here just a little bit. All right. Save your 10% on the bundle through the end of April. So April 30th is the last day you can order from the current annual catalog and the current January to April 2024 mini catalog. Starting on May 1st, the new catalog ordering will start. And so then the bundle pricing will go away on this bundle. So if you love this bundle as much as I do, definitely pick it up before the end of April so you can save the 10% and get your dies and stamp set bundle together. So, hey, Judy and Marilyn and Sherry, I see everybody's here. Thanks for joining today. I appreciate you being here, and Carol as well. And so yeah, this is the card I couldn't help myself. I was trying to use current product, which most of it is, except the colors. I couldn't help myself. Had to play with the new upcoming in colors. So those are all the colors you see with a little bit of gold as well on my card. And I'll go through all these, but we have Pretty in Pink, Peach Pie, Shy Shamrock, Summer Splash, and then Petunia Pop is that one. So, oh, and also, did I say Peach Pie for the flower centers, Pretty in Pink for the bigger flowers, and then a little bit of gold on here. So the colors to me just are perfect for all things spring and summer, and I thought they would be perfect colors to play with the flowers and stamp a few flowers. And I'll show you how I stamp these. I didn't go, well, I'll explain it later, but with the really juicy ink pads and these types of stamps, I've got a little technique that I use that seems to work well for me, so I will share it in my video, and hopefully it'll help you out too. All right, so that is the card. This is the textured floral stamp set. Again, it's a good one, just a good basic, lots of pretty flower images in it. And then we've got Every Thought of You Makes Me Smile, and then there's a birthday sentiment, and then with a grateful heart. So we've got lots of good sentiments in here, the pretty flowers, and then of course the awesome dies that coordinate with it. The larger dies, the open ones, cut out all of your floral images here. This one will cut out the little flower center, I think. One of these two will cut out flower center. Oh, this one cuts out this flower center, and I think this one cuts out that flower center, if I remember correctly. And then we've got the layered flowers here. This die will cut those out. And then there are just a couple of accessory pieces, kind of some greenery, and then there's a flower center die that don't match any of the stamped images, but are just accessory dies with the set. So hey everybody, thanks for joining today. So this is a photopolymer stamp set, so it's easy to stamp with, easy to see through. And let me set that aside. And then I also used for the sentiment, I pulled out one of my old favorites, and yay, this actually the Autumn Leaves stamp set, which is my stamp set that I helped to design. And the dies are carrying forward to the next annual catalog, so they're going to be around for another year, so I was pretty excited to see that. And this is the die that I used to cut out my little sentiment here. So again, if you don't love the leaves, this has got some great dies for sentiments in it. So again, this is called Autumn Leaves. Oh, and I just banged into my light. It is available, or it's available now, but it'll also be in the next annual catalog. Final thing that I used on this is the Timber 3D embossing folder. So this is one of my very favorite folders, and I hope it never goes away. So this one is also in the new annual catalog as well as the current annual catalog. So again, it's called the Timber 3D embossing folder. And online exclusives, I always like to remind you about those. Just make sure that you take a peek at those before or anytime you're placing an order so that you can see what's new. The online exclusives kind of come and go. These are some of them that are currently available. This designer series paper just restocked actually, and it's called Flowering Zinnias. And so, sorry, somebody's ringing the doorbell outside, so I hope the dog doesn't start barking. Uh-oh. Jeannie, come on, sit. All right. So we have got, sorry about that. So we've got the online exclusives. Just make sure that you take a peek at those anytime you're out in the online store. All right, so let's get going on the card. I've pre-cut a couple of things here. This is a piece of basic white cardstock, and this is cut to about 3 7/8 inches by about 5 1/8 inches. And I've got a blending brush here and some peach pie ink. Again, this is one of the new in colors that will be available starting on May 1st for customers to order. Demonstrators, actually those of us that attended the onstage event got to pre-order extra early with this the new colors. But all demonstrators can order starting on April 2nd. So if you are not currently a demonstrator, this is a great time to join because you get to pre-order. So starting on April 2nd, you can pick up these awesome colors as well. So a little bit early. So I am, again, just doing a little swirling with a blending brush, just adding a little color to the background here. Normally I start off my grid paper when I'm going to be doing some sort of adding a little bit of color on the background with a blending brush. But since the center of this is going to be covered, I just figured that I would go ahead and go straight to the paper with it, because if I end up with kind of a glob in the middle, it's just fine. Nobody's going to see it under all the flowers. So, all right, I think that's it for now on the blending. So again, everybody, thanks for coming in. I see a few other people have joined, so glad you're here. All right, so got that, a little bit of color put on the basic white cardstock, and then I'm going to grab my Timber 3D embossing folder, and I'm going to slide it here into the, slide the paper into the embossing folder. And hopefully you can see it at the bottom of most of the Stampin' Up! Embossing folders. There's a little straight line that runs across here. And if you line up the bottom of your paper with that little line, and don't drop it like I just did, then it should emboss it fairly straight once you run it through your embossing machine. So a couple of things. Oh, thanks, Carol. I did have a good time. We spent some time with the family, so that's always good. So, but glad to be back home too. Always like traveling, but goodness, it's always good to get back home. So as far as the 3D embossing folders go, it's a little bit of a different sandwich on these to emboss with it. You'll use your base plate, and again, the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine comes with these two plates. If you have a different Stampin' or a different machine, different die cutting machine, you will use your base plate, and then this is available from Stampin' Up! And it's called the specialty plate, and I think it's $11, $11.50, maybe $12. But anyway, it is a fantastic investment for the 3D embossing folders. It makes them emboss perfectly every single time. So make sure you pick up one of these, and again, it's called the specialty plate. It is gray, and you can find it in the Stampin' Up! Online store. So that is the sandwich for embossing with the 3D embossing folder. So just make sure you've got the correct plate on the top, and you're going to get perfect embossing every time. So I'm going to run this through my machine. All right. There's my embossed panel. And I'm going to let me get that out of the way so I don't accidentally drop it on the floor. All right, so this is what it looks like. Hopefully you can see it a little bit on here. I'll kind of try to slowly move it around, the timber embossing. It's really pretty. Then I've got a piece of basic white cardstock that should be cut to 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm just going to make sure that I've done this the right way around. Looks like I did. So I was afraid I was going to emboss the wrong one. And basic white as well, so it's kind of white on white on white that we're doing here. And I've got my Stampin' Seal. We're going to run this around the edges of the flat piece. Usually if I've embossed a panel, I tend to try to put the adhesive on the flat piece, because sometimes I get a little heavy-handed with the adhesive and smash my beautiful embossing, so I'm trying not to do that. All right, let's get these lined up and stuck together. All right, there we go. Looks like we got it on there pretty well. And then I have got a thick basic white card base, and this is cut to 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 and scored at 4 1/4 in the middle, so just your standard issue card base. And I've got my chopped up Stampin' Dimensionals that we're going to stick on the back here. And, whoop, maybe if I can get the backing off both sides. There we go. Get that out of the way. And hopefully you'll have a wonderful Friday. It's a really pretty day here in New Jersey. It's a little cool outside, but the sun is shining and kind of the grass is starting to turn green, and my nose is starting to run. So, all the things that spring brings. So, all right, let's slide this here in the center of the card and get it stuck down with the Stampin' Dimensionals. I did a little bit of die cutting ahead of time just because it's kind of repetitive. Some of these are didn't mean to have that one there. Anyway, so some of these are duplicate pieces, but I will show you in a second how I cut them all. And there we go. Got some basic white cardstock. These I had cut ahead of time from gold foil sheets. Let me grab my die set here. So this is the die that I used to cut my 2 pieces of gold foil sheets. And we're going to do a little stamping. So I'm going to grab the largest flower image in my Pretty in Pink ink pad. And we are going to, I actually have little sponge daubers that I use, especially with the new ink pads. I find that they're kind of really inky. And if you use these little kind of textured stamps on them, sometimes you get a really bad, bubbly, not very pretty image. So the way that I avoid that is I actually use a sponge dauber to ink up my image instead of using, going straight to the ink pad. For me, I find that this works better. So rather than inking it with the actual ink pad, I'm going to use my sponge dauber, and that allows me to kind of even out the ink and get rid of most of the little bubbly things, and usually I get a pretty good image. So we're going to stamp that here. There we go. And set that one aside. Oops, I just stuck my fingers right into the pink ink. So I guess there are worse colors I could stick them in. Then I'm going to grab the kind of medium-sized flower in here, and we're going to do that one with Petunia Pop. And again, same thing, just going to ink it and go use the sponge dauber to add the ink to my flower. And we're going to stamp that one right up here. Okay, and get that one out of the way. And then I'm going to grab my Summer Splash, which is the kind of blue-green or an aquamarine, I guess is the color that we used to call it. I don't know if that's still a thing or not. And we're just going to add a little bit of Summer Splash ink to the smaller flower. And I think we'll stamp that one, try to get my hair off of the cardstock over there. Close that one up. So, hey, thanks for hopping in today, Drew. All right, and then I've got a couple of the greenery pieces that we're going to stamp. And we've got Shy Shamrock for that. And again, these are the new in colors that'll be starting. They'll be available for everyone to order beginning. And there, see, I already stuck my fingers in the green ink. So these will be available for everyone to order beginning on May 1st. And they're available for the demonstrator pre-order starting on the 2nd of April. So if you're a demonstrator, you can pre-order these pretty new in colors starting then. And like I said, if you're not a demonstrator, now is a really good time to join because you get to do the pre-order with us. All right, and there we go. I don't know what's got the dog all upset. Somebody must be still outside. I don't know. My husband was talking with somebody, so I'm not sure what they're doing, but she's clearly thinking she's missing out, and she's in here wandering around crying about it. So, all right, we'll stamp that one up here in the corner. There we go. I'm going to close that one up before I stick my fingers in that again. And then the last color that I'm going to add is Peach Pie. And just got the little flower centers to stamp in Peach Pie. Again, just going to do the same thing with these. Inking it up, tapping it on the little flower centers. And then we're going to stamp it over the Petunia Pop and the Summer Splash flowers. And also going to add a little ink to the flower center for the Pretty in Pink flowers. And if I haven't mentioned it already, Pretty in Pink, in fact, is a returning color. So that's one that was a color a long time ago, like 10 years ago or something like that. Hopefully I'm still live here. I'm not sure why my computer is acting crazy, but hopefully I'm still live. I'm assuming I'm still going. So let me check and make sure. Maybe. All right, I think I'm still going. So hopefully. All right, so we've got our die cut, or pieces here ready to die cut. And I'm going to grab my dies here. So And yes, the inky fingers, definitely, definitely. I'm always making a mess. Okay, you're still good. I'm not sure what happened with my computer. It just decided it was going to have a moment, I guess. So, but as long as we're still going, I'm good to go. So, all right. Got a couple dies here that are going to cut all these images out. And it's probably going to take me more than one pass through my die cutting machine just because I'm hopefully not going to end up with any of these getting chopped out kind of weird. All right, and here's my petunia pop flower. All right, so there we go. So those are the dies that I'm going to use to cut out all the images here. So I'll be back in 1 second. Hey, Sylvia, thanks for joining from Germany. All right. Let's see if we can get these all done. Almost got them. All right, let's hold your breath and hopefully I got them cut out here reasonably well, which I think I got most of them, it looked like. I didn't see any doing any significant sliding around, so hopefully we're all good. And there's the last one. So let's get these out of the way. And that's what we've got for our die cuts. Throwing my papers around. And I realized I didn't put a piece of paper out to cut my sentiment, so hopefully I've got a piece that I can use. So clearly I didn't plan very well for this, did I? All right, so let's start putting some flowers on the card front. I'm going to start with one of the gold foil pieces, kind of as the base of it, underneath it. And going to put probably just one glue dot on this one because we're going to have several layers that'll be stuck up over the top of it, so I'm not going to worry too much about sticking that one down with lots of adhesive. You can use liquid glue on these, but for me, I find it makes a mess. At least I make a mess with it. So I usually tend to use glue dots because those don't make, I don't end up with them gooping everywhere. So I think we'll go ahead and stick that one right over the top like that. And then I'm going to put one of the flowers, one of the larger flowers down here. Actually, you know what? I better put my little gold piece on first. Again, going to take this, just put one little glue dot on it because it's going to be held fairly securely by quite a few other pieces that'll be layered over the top of it. We'll kind of tuck that one in there like that. And then I will grab another glue dot here, another couple of glue dots, I should say. And we're going to go ahead and just place this on here. I'm not going to really smush it down well just yet because I'm going to tuck a few pieces in and around it. So I want to make sure that I've got some room underneath to be able to slide other pieces in. So I've got glue dots. I'm going to use that to stick down my little greenery piece here. I'm going to have that one kind of tucked up here underneath my flower. And then we're going to grab the little blue, one of the little blue flowers. And we're going to take that one and kind of tuck it in here around the greenery pieces, maybe. There we go. I think we'll just put it in underneath. You can layer this however you want to. If you want more of the blue flower to show, you can have more of the blue flower showing. Want less to show, you can do less. So there's my little petunia pop flower. Going to grab a couple little glue dots to stick that one down. And I think we'll go ahead and maybe right there. All right, I've got my underneath pieces down, so I'm going to smush the underneath pieces well. Got one more piece of greenery to tuck underneath my larger flower. And we're going to go ahead and put that right in underneath here. And we'll just kind of have it sticking out underneath the larger pink flower. Then we're going to add in, we'll go ahead and put the final pink flower on it. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and put a couple Stampin' Dimensionals on that one. And I'm trying to stay away from the bottom because I am going to tuck the greenery piece right up underneath here. So I'm going to try to make sure my Stampin' Dimensionals hopefully aren't in the way of that. We can always trim down the die cut a little if we need to, but hopefully I've got it cut correctly or got the dimensionals placed correctly so we won't have to worry about it. So, all right, there we go. Oh, thanks, Rosie. So, all right, gonna go back and tuck in the larger greenery piece here. I'm gonna put a little glue dot under each of the little leaves here, and just gonna tuck that up here underneath my larger flower. There we go, and stick that down to the card front. And then the final little flower is one of the Summer Splash flowers. And we'll just go ahead and put a couple glue dots under that and tuck it in here over along the edge of the sort of flower spray here. And you can hopefully still see there's a little, I just wanted a little peek of the peach on the background underneath it. So there's not a lot of the peach that's showing, which that was kind of my intent when I did it. I just wanted a little bit of color on the background. So, all right, let me get the glue dots out of the way. And then I'm gonna grab a piece of basic white cardstock, hopefully. Thank goodness I have a piece that is cut down small enough that it'll go through the die cutting machine, because all of a sudden I had that moment of, oh no. So, and I've got my sentiment here from the textured floral stamp set. I'm going to grab my embossing buddy, which is in the embossing editions. I think that's what it's called, embossing editions kit. Use mine. I try to remember to use it every time I am embossing, because it stops the little embossing, the extra flecks from sticking anywhere that you don't want them to stick. And it kind of, because your hands have a little bit of oil on them and things, sometimes you get fingerprints in the embossing powder, which is not really the look I'm going for. So I've got the Birthday Blooms for You stamp set, sentiment from the textured floral stamp set. And I'm stamping it in Versamark ink on a panel of basic white cardstock. Set that aside and then grab my gold embossing powder. The embossing powders, the current version of them is going to be going away at the end of this current annual catalog, but there are some new, it's a new brand of embossing powder that Stampin' Up! Is going to carry. And we've been told there may be a little delay in them coming out, so if you need embossing powders, go ahead and pick them up now before the metallics runs out. The basics embossing powders are already out of stock, but you can still get the metallics, at least last time I checked. And then we're going to grab the heat tool. The Stampin' Up! Heat tool has 2 settings on it. There's a level 1 setting for drying. So if you are doing something like watercoloring or takes a little bit of, some of it takes a little longer to dry, you can use the level 1 setting to speed that up. And then level 2 setting is for heat embossing. So I just need to let it heat up a little bit, and then we'll switch around and do a little heat embossing. So. Oh, Sylvia, I'm glad that hopefully you can understand enough. I know I speak very quickly, so that probably doesn't help you out either, but hopefully you can understand. Stamping's kind of a universal language, I think. So, all right, so there we go. Doing the heat embossing. All right, and so when you're heat embossing, you definitely want to stop once it kind of turns smooth and shiny so that you don't accidentally burn it. And then give it a second to cool once you're done with the heat embossing, so that you don't accidentally smear it as well. So, all right, I'm going to go back to my autumn leaves dies, and we're going to grab the kind of more square rectangle. It's not really the largest, I don't know how to describe it, the more square rectangle. And then we're just going to cut out the sentiment. So hang on one second and I'll be right back. And there's our little die cut sentiment. And we're just going to stick that right over the top of the kind of layered flowers down here. I am going to try to be careful because I know this piece is going to be layering on top of this flower that's already got a dimensional underneath it. So I'm just going to make sure that I put dimensionals on the lower areas and the right-hand side. And I'll probably put one about like that. And then I'm going to put a glue dot right up here in the corner to make sure that that is stuck down as well. So, all right, get that stuck on. And then peel off the backings on our dimensionals. Golly, got glue dots here over the top of our little flowers. and then smoosh it down. And then the final piece on the card front, they're really pretty. They've just got a little bit of sparkle to them, and they're fairly flat, so they actually, you can mail these fairly easily on a card, so no problem at all there. Just going to add one of the larger ones, and then right along the edge of my flower, and then, whoop, maybe smush them down. Just trying to get the larger one to stay in the spot where I want it to go before I smush it. There we go. All right, set those aside, and then on the inside of the card, kept it pretty simple as well. And we're just going to use that same process to ink up a pretty and pink flower. So again, just going to grab my ink pad, my sponge dauber, and then my larger flower image. And we're just going to ink it with the sponge dauber. And hopefully I'm not shaking the screen incredibly bad when I do this. Probably should hold it up off my desk, and that might help. All right, then close this up. And we're just going to stamp this pretty pink flower right over the edge of the basic white panel. And then I'm just going to grab my peach pie and the flower center. And I agree, it is a really pretty pink. We kind of needed a more true... What is it with me today? Now I've got, hey, so apparently I'm going to be wearing all of the new ink colors today. So, you know, my fashion statement is to have inked fingers, evidently. So, all right, we'll stamp peach pie before I stick my fingers in anything else, and I will close that up. Although I only have 2 more colors to go, so maybe I should just dip them in and call it good. So there we go. But yeah, I think we did need a true kind of pretty pink because we've got petal pink, which is more of a peachy pink. So I think that's going to go really nicely with the peach pie. But we didn't really have like a true pink. So I'm happy to see it return, even though it's been a number of years since it's been here. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the inside of the card. All the details for this card are going to be posted on my blog tomorrow, which is stampwithamyk.com. And I will link up directly to the instructions and the details. I've always got my PDF tutorials and everything out there on my blog, so I will link up directly to that tomorrow, and the blog post goes live around 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time. So that's it. Super quick and easy birthday card made with a pretty new in colors. Hope that you love them as much as I do. I can't wait for everybody to get their hands on them. And yeah, yay. So there. All right. Thanks everybody for joining. And I will plan to be live around 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Tuesday. And then again around 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Friday. So thanks for being here. Have a wonderful weekend. If you're celebrating, happy Easter. And yeah, we'll just chat with y'all